So, good morning, everybody. I'm Marie Jenkins from Advance Your Wellbeing, and welcome to our second season of The Secret Diary of Marie Jenkins 47 Plus. Now, today I have got three incredible guest panelists, each of which was involved in our season one. So, we're really pleased about that. So, we've got Hilary Sims. Morning, Hilary.
Morning, Marie.
We've got Gary Jones from Physio 206. Hi, Gary.
Morning, Marie. Thank you for having me back.
My pleasure. And we've got Lisa Tighe from Lisa Tighe Coaching and Therapy. Hey, Lise.
Morning, how are you doing?
Fantastic, thank you. So before we launch into today's Wellbeing Week in conversation with, I'm just going to give you an introduction to each of our guests. So first of all, I'll start with Hilary. So Hilary is from Life Balance Counselling. She's based in Stourbridge in the West Midlands, and she uses humanistic person-centred therapy and cognitive behaviour therapy, known as CBT, and brief solution-focused therapy. Wow, incredible. So she listens and offers non-judgmental support in a confidential way, and together she explores different ways of dealing with current situations through counselling. She's an accredited member of the National Counselling Society, and she's a registered member of the British Association for Counselling and Physiotherapy. She works to an ethical framework, thereby ensuring the safety of her clients. Wow, that's brilliant, Hilary. Then I'm going to move on to Gary. So Gary is a chartered physiotherapist and the clinical director of Physio 206. He's based in Bromsgrove, and he's also got a room in Solihull. His keen interest in the management of back pain as well as knee pain for runners. Now, Gary has 20 years experience working in the NHS and in the private sector. During this time, he's helped thousands of people to find an effective long-term solution to their pain. And now his philosophy is simple. He says, I will not just treat your symptoms, I will get to the root cause of your problem. And this is what makes you stay better rather than just feel better. Oh, we like that one. Fantastic. He's also a contributor and co-author in an Amazon #1 best-selling book. Wow. 21 secrets to resolving back pain. So, yeah, if anybody's interested, then definitely go and take a look at that. Then we've got the lovely Lisa Tighe. So she helps individuals who struggle with anxiety, low self-esteem and self-belief, negative thinking and behaviours, and anyone who has suffered any trauma. Now she does this with blending various therapies, coaching methodologies. She uses NLP, EFT tapping, and now she's doing matrix imprinting together to bring a package of support for her clients. So I've got an incredible panelist today, all in the world of wellbeing. So thank you all for that. So I'm going to jump straight in and move on to today's first topic, which is I'd like your views on what's new in the world of well-being. Hilary, can I come to you first?
You can come to me first. There's loads of new things new in wellbeing, but my big thing with wellbeing at the moment is not new strategies, but people are aware that they need to get help when they need help with their mental health. It's more talked about, it's more out there for people to actually say, I'm struggling at the moment, I think I need some help. So it's not actually, for me at the moment, there is lots and lots of new treatments out there, but it's the fact that people are able to ask for it and feel comfortable asking for the help. and people can get, you know, with Gary, their physical support, but also their mental health support, which is really important. That people feel more comfortable asking about it, and I think that's the big thing in just new for me at the moment.
I totally agree with you there, Hilary. And, you know, obviously mental health has been a huge thing probably over the pandemic, really, you've seen. But what's more important is that people are feeling more confident in asking for the help. So that's fantastic. Lisa, what do you think? Because obviously you're in therapy and coaching too.
Yeah, I mean, it is brilliant that people are able to talk more, aren't they? Especially men, I think, as well. It's sort of coming to the surface a lot more, so it's really positive, isn't it? Personally, with the nice weather here, with my clients, if I can, I'm taking them out for like a walk and talk as part of a session, because environment is so important, isn't it, when you're working with someone on some deep issues. And if you can change that environment, you get like a different response to how they're thinking and feeling. So especially with this lovely sun, I'm sort of inviting them to have a session or half a session just walking and talking. The other thing that has come up, which actually is being launched on Monday, is this amazing successful women's academy that I'm really proud to be part of. I was actually introduced to this by Natalie Hurdley, who is she lives in Telford. She's a PT instructor, but she's also a GB gold medalist in powerlifting. Like, unbelievable. She's a force to be reckoned with. And I'd had some sessions with her a couple of years ago, last year maybe.
Yeah.
And she knew that I did tapping, so she recommended me to this academy. And it's been formed by a lovely lady called Agnes. She is the reinvention mentor. And she has seen a gap where women are struggling to find information for not just their business, but also their well-being, family issues, divorce, all sorts of things. So what she's done, she's put together a network of specialists, and everything will be under one app, one umbrella. So if you're looking for any sort of help in your business, with even things like menopause, with weight loss, with accountancy, everything, it's all going to be under that one roof, so you can just access it easily. And I'm the tapping expert, so I'm really proud to be a part of that. So it launches on Monday. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. So when this goes out, because this one goes out, it's the 4th Tuesday in June.
Yeah.
So by then it would be well established, so people will be able to find it more. And what I'll do is I'll put details in the show notes as well, so if anybody wants to go and have a look, they can. But brilliant. I just want to pick up on what you were saying there about, yes, you know, this is going to be June when it goes out, so hopefully we'll have the summer with us. People are getting out more, they are being more physically active. So with that in mind, Gary, can I ask you, in terms of like well-being and things, how this will sort of pick up in your area of well-being?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a great segue, by the way, Marie. I love that. For me, I think that the big thing, and a bit like Hilary's mentioned, there's always lots of new developments in the profession, the world of physiotherapy. But I'm actually going to go to something that is something that's accessible to all and isn't necessarily a new concept, but there's an emerging body of great evidence and research behind its effectiveness, and that's strength training. You know, strength training to manage a lot of, you know, conditions which you know, can cost the NHS a lot of money as well. So things like osteoarthritis of the knee, for example. You know, there's a huge body of research coming out about strength training for the muscles at the front of the thigh, the quadriceps muscles. And if people have signs of weakness in those muscles, then they can have an increased chance of getting osteoarthritis of the knee. So that's just come out in a massive study from Norway recently. And it's the same for things like back pain as well. There's a huge amount of research around things like deadlifting, you know, which are some things that maybe people wouldn't think about for the management of back pain. You know, there's all sorts of emerging evidence. And the good thing about this is that, you know, it's strength training can be accessible to anybody. You know, you don't have to go to a gym to get strong. You know, you can do exercise at home, you know, body weight exercise, There's things that you can utilize, you know, within your own environment. You know, it's cost effective. And I think the other thing that I love about it is it's encouraging personal responsibility. So it's taking people away from, you know, being dependent on others to help them. And I think that's a really, really key message for everybody. You know, we can all do a lot more to look after our own health.
Gary, can I ask you a subsequent question from that then? Because, you know, there's a lot of people that are thinking about their well-being, thinking about, you know, doing strength training or just starting up hobbies. Do you see a lot of people coming into your clinics then that really could have done with going to see somebody like a PT, like Lisa mentioned earlier, or before they start these sort of fitness regimes, would that be better?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really interesting the last couple of years with the pandemic. Obviously, after the first lockdown, there was huge amounts of people out exercising, maybe doing more exercise than they normally would do. So, you know, we were picking up a lot of sort of muscle and joint problems in the summer of 2020. You know, and we also saw an increase in number of things like stress responses, you know, stress fractures in bones as well. More than I've ever seen in my 20 plus years as a physio. So, you know, I think strength training super important. I think obviously even more so for females as well, in terms of, you know, when we get into the sort of the area of the menopause, you know, it's not a speciality area of mine, but, you know, drifting off onto a different subject, you know, strength training is so important for bone quality as well. So
Okay.
In answer to your question, I think, yeah, getting good advice from the right people, and that, you know, that could be personal trainers, you know, that could be physios, it could be people that work in nutrition and lots of other areas as well.
Yeah, I agree. And that links on actually to the next topic that I wanted to talk to you both, to all three of you about today. And that was about, now obviously we're more aware of our health and well-being, and what's happening is, what we're seeing is we're living with an growing and aging population. So how can we live well or live better in this aging population? Hilary, what's your view?
Well, the thing for me is where people want to stay in their own home and they, you know, dealing with having to move into homes and that type of thing, and supporting people that they're sometimes not safe to be left in their own home. You know, it's for their own well-being, it is for their own mental support that they need to be there. And supporting, I've actually supported some families where they've had to put a relative into a home and dealing with all the fallout from that, and that's been really, really challenging. So they actually came to me to look for some support while they were actually putting their relative in the home. But talking about aging population, currently I've got clients that are well in their 70s and everything, and I'm still offering support to all of those people. So asking for support, doesn't matter what your age is, the right support is out there, it's just finding it.
Yeah, and it's huge, isn't it, for families when they've got their parents, elderly parents, and they've got to move them and things. So having someone that's outside the family actually can help give a better perspective on things. So yeah, I'd agree with that. I volunteer at Longbridge Village, which is an over 55 site. And, you know, when people start thinking about their well-being for later years, those sort of housing choices are fantastic in terms of loneliness, combating loneliness, and all those sort of things. So I think we're getting more into the mindset where we're thinking about that. Lisa, what's your view on the aging population?
Oh, age to me is just a number. I think it always has been to me. And for people that I know and people in my family, it's about doing what feels right, no matter how old you are. So if you're, you know, 40 and you don't want to go and do, you know, walk 10 miles or whatever, that's fine. If you're 70 and you feel like going on a 10-mile bike ride or whatever, and it feels good and you can do it, then great. Because to me, age is just a number. It's all about how you feel in your head. And the more I think about that, the better I feel about myself aging, my family aging, and making the most out of the now, really.
Yeah, I agree.
That
And
could be me on
education.
my bike.
Say that again, Hilary, sorry.
That could be you on your bike at 70.
Yeah, I think education is sort of key in this area. Gary, what's your view?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think never more than ever has our own physical and mental health been more important, has it really? You know, we're coming out of a global pandemic, and I think for me, I love to keep things simple in life. I'm a simple character. You know, for me, it comes down to two words: take responsibility. And I think we're all capable of taking responsibility. And it ties in with the education piece, Marie. You know,
Yeah.
the more that we can do to help people understand what they can do to improve both their own physical and mental health is massively important. So, you know, obviously a lot of people think, you know, physios, we just, you know, think about all the sort of physical side of things. But, you know, over the last 18 months to 2 years, I've never had so many emotional clients in clinic. It's been, you know, dealing with lots of, you know, emotions have been very sort of up and down for people. It's been, you know, they talk about the corona coaster, don't they? The corona coaster of emotions. And, you know,
I like that one.
there's lots we can do to focus on our physical and mental health. And obviously Hilary and Lisa have heaps of expertise in the areas around, you know, sort of mental health side of things. But, you know, what are we doing to look after our sleep patterns? You know, what are we looking at in terms of hydration, you know, gut health, and you know, this is an area that I'm becoming more and more interested in, and you know, finding out more about and encouraging patients to find out more about, because I think so many conditions can be managed better with what we put into our bodies as well. And I think just learning to switch off more as well, and giving your brain time to switch off as well. You know, we live in a society where everything's a million miles per hour, isn't it? We want to do everything yesterday. So more and more giving people the opportunity and helping people to understand how to do things like meditation, you know, how to take time out to focus on slowing down.
Yeah.
So that would be it for me. And I think just going back to the strength training piece as well, you know, with increasing age, we also know that physically people's muscle density reduces as well. So if people are doing strength training, you know, it's something that should be carried on through the ages. It's super important, particularly for runners that are running, you know, into their 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I still work with people that are running in that age bracket, and strength training is massively important.
Yeah, I agree. And there's so much correlation and research being carried out in terms of how your physical health will impact on your mental health, and conversely, your mental health can affect your physical health. And you was talking about gut health there, and I know that your wife Sarah Jones, she runs something called the Wellness Collective, and all of that is sort of, it's all encompassing, isn't it? It's your physical health, it's your mental health, it's your diet, you know, it's all of those things. So yeah, absolutely, totally agree. So have we got it right?
Marie, can I just say, it's really interesting what you were saying about that, because with the tapping, with what I do with tapping, and I actually work with physical pain as well. And what Gary was saying about like emotional clients coming to you a lot more, Gary, with physical ailments, it's so closely linked. And when I see people with they come with something that they want to get rid of, or you know, change, a lot of the time, if they are in a badly emotional way, they are experiencing something physical, like a recurring backache, a recurring neck ache, something like that recurs. And once we sort out the mental aspect of it, the emotional stuff, that pain can kind of reduce. So it's really interesting that.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, it's really good that each of you can complement each other. So if Gary's getting sort of people in that have got physical injuries, but maybe it's to do with the emotional side, maybe. So yeah, it's a good panelist today. I think we've got it spot on. But so have we got it right? Is my question, is because we are more focused on well-being now more than ever before. But have we got the basics right in terms of well-being for our society? Gary, I'm going to ask you first.
Do you know what? I had a really good think about this, and I tried to look at a few stats to see whether we have got it right. Personally, I don't think we have got it right at the moment. I think we're still quite a long way away from getting it right. I think there's lots of great information out there. I think we live in a world where people are more informed. But let's look at a couple of examples. All right, so let's look at obesity. Okay, so in the last 25 years, obesity has quadrupled in the adult population in the last 25 years. So we know now that 1 in 4 people are classed as obese. So that's more, more, and then worryingly, more than 60% of adults are overweight in the UK. So, from a physical and mental health perspective, this isn't a great place for the aging population to be. Worryingly as well, for children, it's increasing in children. So latest studies shown that I think 27.5% of children aged 10 to 11 that live in sort of, deprived areas were classed as obese. I mean, that's a staggering statistic.
Wow, yeah.
Huge statistic. So obviously, obesity, we've got to address that, I think, in a better way. The follow on from that are things like type 2 diabetes. Again, type 2 diabetes largely is something that we can prevent if we do the right things. And I think at the moment, I read a study the other day, there's a prediction that within 7 to 8 years time, we're going to have 5.5 million people with diabetes in the UK, which that's a massive number.
Huge,
and it's the knock-on effect of this as well, Marie. It's, we know that like when you have type 2 diabetes, people have got, risk of amputation connected with that. 185 people are amputated per week. 1,700 people a year have sight loss as a result of type 2 diabetes. 1 in 6 people in a hospital bed has diabetes. You're 2 times more likely to be, admitted to hospital if you've got diabetes. 2 times more likely to suffer from depression. So, it's this ongoing spiral, and that's just obesity and diabetes. And even things like back pain, the most common thing that I deal with as a clinician, the long-term implications of back pain. 80% of us will have an episode during our life. It costs the UK £10 billion a year in terms of sick days. There's huge economic costs, and for the NHS, just to come back to the NHS again, it's already struggling with an increasing size, age of population. It costs the NHS almost £1.5 billion per year just to manage back pain. So, there's some big stats out there. So if we look at that, for me, I don't think we are anywhere near getting it right at the minute. I think there's a long way to go. And
Gary, can I ask you a question? Yeah, I totally agree. So, and I'm sorry I interrupted you there, but I wanted to ask you, in terms of obesity then, and the clients that you're getting there, is it more likely then that it's not being helped, if you like, if you're obese, that you end up needing help from a physiotherapist? Surely if people are improving their weight, I mean, is that a thing?
I mean, certainly if you come back to things like knee osteoarthritis, certainly you will have consultants now that will not operate on people above a certain body mass index, because the chances of post-operative complications are significantly greater, and the chance of recovery or the quality of recovery is significantly reduced because of the increased pressure on the joint surfaces, and also the complications associated with cardiovascular health as well. So I mean, look, obesity is it's a big topic to discuss in terms of it's multifactorial. It's not something we could discuss in 5 or 10 minutes, but I suppose it's like climate. I liken things to climate change. We're all trying to do a little bit at the moment to improve the world that we live in. So what about if we actually all do a little bit every day to look after our own health? What would be the compound effect of that? I think you'd find that it would we would all be a much healthier nation if we all took a little bit more responsibility.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when we talk about well-being is a mental thing as well. You know, it's about what brings you joy to your life. And you know, if you're making small progress, it all adds up. So if you start a sort of physical regime whereby you're improving your health and reducing your weight, etc., you know, if you're doing it like you said every day, it's gonna accumulate into a bigger thing. So yeah, I totally agree, but people definitely have to take their own responsibility for their own health and well-being. And I know that, because back in 2014, when I left my job and I had poor mental health, I hadn't, and I had to transform my life, and that's how things go. Hilary, how about you? What do you think we've got it right?
Following on from what you've just said there and the exercising thing, if you get out and do a little bit of exercise, it will make you feel better. But sadly, some people have got that much going around in their head, they can't actually focus on even just getting outside the door and walking. So that's really difficult. I think we're starting to get it right. As Gary says, there's a long way to go. I think there's still a lot of stigma attached to asking for help. People are worried that if they ask for help, how does it affect future job opportunities and that type of thing? If I've gone to the doctor and it says on my record I've got anxiety or I'm on antidepressants, and people on antidepressants function normally as normal people, you know, they manage on a day-to-day basis. That's what antidepressants help them do. So I think a lot of people are scared also what other people will think, and that's definitely a thing with men. Traditionally, men are not great at asking for support. They're worried that they'll be seen as not, you know, being weak if they can't cope. Their mates don't, oh, you know, everybody else is managing and I'm not. Well, actually, if they go and speak to their mates will probably say, yeah, I'm struggling too. So it's really, really difficult. I think we have got a lot better. There is services out there, but people are still shying away from asking for help because of what the people will think. I mean, if a client comes to me, for instance, we try and work out where they are at the moment, what's actually causing them the problem, and how we can deal with things differently. And I get a lot of people that come with worries, and we list all the worries down, and they come with a massive list of worries. When we actually break them down, are they actually real worries, or are they just things that I'm making up in my head? So we start, and it's the perpetual cycle then. I start to worry about everything I do is going to go wrong. Well, does everything go wrong that you really do? Perhaps not, just a few things, and that's life. We all have things that go wrong, and quite often for my job, it's just trying to make people see that other people have these issues as well. What you're actually experiencing is normal, but people don't really see that. And there was somebody commented to me the other day about coming to counselling and stuff, and they said, why do we only come when we're in a bad place? Why don't we have this support all the time? You know, because then we don't end up in a bad place.
That's true.
You know what, I've really not thought about that. But yes, it's true.
I agree. Lisa, what do you think?
I think it's improved, hasn't it, over the last few years? You know, like people are talking a lot more, there's groups going, you know, it has improved. I mean, I have worked and still do with a lot of challenging teens, and what I found with them is, especially over the pandemic, is that, you know, that it's getting the balance right for them now, isn't it? You know, there can be a lot of mollycoddling about, are they okay to do this again, or is it all right to let them out, and are they going to have anxiety? But actually what they need is their routines, you know, because routines, like you were saying, Hilary, and consistency, doing things over and over, are really good for you. So it's about finding the balance after all these restrictions that we've had, to give them this positive mental health, to get them back out there and enjoying life as much as they can. We don't want to push them, but we don't want to not push them. Do you know what I mean? It's finding that balance with them. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the other thing which comes to mind really, sorry, say that again, Hilary.
Sorry, adults are feeling that as well, aren't they, at the moment? Not just, you know, is it safe to go back out there? Can I, you know, we all need that little bit of hand holding, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, it's finding that balance, isn't it, that feels right, but not making yourself too uncomfortable to go and do something positive. The other thing, and this has come about mainly because I have 2 kids that eat me out of house and home, but food, like you were saying, Gary, obesity is still huge. It's massive. But food is such a massive thing now. Like everything revolves around food. You know, you've got all the delivery services. If you're going out, you're going for food. You're going for breakfast. You're going to the pub and having food. I mean, I'm going for breakfast tomorrow morning. You know, everything is just food related, isn't it? Everything. And that's lovely. But we're not doing ourselves any favors. Is everything we do is revolving around food. So I'd kind of like to see something, whether I'll start something myself, because I hate cooking, but something around like getting people together to do something around healthy eating, preparing food, because not only does that, you know, they'd learn what good nutritious food is, it's good for their bodies, but think of all the people that are lonely, that eat alone, that are suffering with some depression. Imagine if they came together and could eat really healthy, really well, what that would do for their minds, their body and their spirit. You know, it would be so positive. So I think, you know, I wouldn't mind doing something on that, maybe.
I think that, yeah, that's an incredible idea. What I would say, it goes back to what Gary was saying earlier about people taking responsibility. You know, I mean, it's easy to choose to have, I don't know, a takeaway or whatever. But it's great that we can go out again, but sometimes we need to make good choices for our diet, you know.
Sorry, Marie. I was just going to say, following on from Lisa's point, that's a great point about, you know, food is all around us. You only have to go back to what were the first things to open when we come out of lockdown. You know, Greggs and McDonald's. Where were the gyms? Do you know what I mean? Where were the places where people could exercise?
Exactly.
And there was no reason why those places shouldn't have opened first. In fact, they should have done, because there was hardly any cases of COVID in a gym. So, you know, irrespective of whether not everybody's a gym bunny, I get that. I'm not a gym bunny, I get that. So, but I think there's also the way that food's advertised. I mean, it's a massive subject, isn't it? Food, you know, it's the economic side of it and everything else as well, isn't it? So it is hard. I think it's hard for us to put restraint on at times, isn't it? You know, for individuals to, it's relationships with food. It's such a complex subject. But an interesting.
If Lisa's going to do something on it, maybe we could revisit this topic then, because it sounds to me like this could be a huge topic to discuss further. So maybe we can revisit it. But guys,
absolutely,
the 30 minutes has gone. It's flown by. So I just want to say thank you so much all for joining me. It's been really insightful today. And thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Could have gone on for longer. That was brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, then.